Captain Archer did 6 amazing things that Star Trek Enterprise didn't show. Captain Jonathan Archer Scott Bakula did 6 amazing things after Star Trek Enterprise ended. Created by Rick Berman and Brannon Braga, Star Trek Enterprise, originally titled simply Enterprise, was the first Star Trek prequel TV series. Set in the 22nd century, Enterprise retconned Archer as the first captain of the Enterprise, Starfleet's first Warp-5-capable NX-1, as the first starship to bear that name. Never the ratings' darling Star Trek. The next generation was Star Trek Enterprise was canceled after 4 seasons by United Paramount Network UPN. However, Enterprise's producers had ambitious plans for the series and for Captain Archer, who was to become an instrumental figure in Star Trek history. Archer's voyages leading the NX-1 Enterprise formed crucial alliances and laid the foundation of the United Federation of Planets. Ultimately, Captain Archer's post-Enterprise history was hinted at in a data file scene in Star Trek Enterprise Season 4's Mirror Universe 2-parter, In a Mirror, Darkly. This information lays out the canonical events of Captain Archer's future after his time as captain of the Enterprise. Archer's post-NX-1 career includes incredible accomplishments as he embraced a leadership role in the Federation. Here are 6 amazing things Captain Archer did after Star Trek Enterprise ended. Star Trek Enterprise hoped to run 7 seasons like Star Trek The Next Generation, Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and Star Trek Voyager did, but the prequel only lasted 4 years. Yet Star Trek Enterprise's controversial series finale, These Are the Voyages, established that Captain Archer commanded the NX-1 Enterprise for 10 years, from 2250 to 2260. Archer's Enterprise bridge crew also remained aboard for the duration of their decade-long mission. At Star Trek Enterprise continued into Season 5, there were plans to upgrade the NX-1. Archer's Enterprise would have been refitted with a secondary hull beneath the saucer section. This would have made the NX-1 a closer precursor to the design of the 23rd century Constitution-class USS Enterprise in Star Trek, the original series. The refitted NX-1 Enterprise was finally seen at the Fleet Museum on Athen Prime in Star Trek Picard Season 3. Following his historic tenure as the first captain of the Enterprise, Jonathan Archer was promoted to Admiral by Starfleet. Archer is the first Enterprise captain to rise to the rank of Admiral, followed by Captain Robert April Adrian Holmes, Captain James T. Kirk William Shatner, Captain Jean-Luc Picard, and Captain Edward Jellicoe Ronnie Cox in later Star Trek eras. Archer's promotion reflects his historical status as the greatest explorer of the 22nd century. Admiral Archer was confirmed to exist in the alternate Kelvin timeline of J.J. Abrams' Star Trek movies as well. Admiral Archer and his prize Beagle were name-dropped in Star Trek 2009. Star Trek Enterprise is canon in both the Prime and Kelvin timelines, since the prequel is set decades before the destruction of the USS Kelvin in 2330 created a divergent reality. Unfortunately, not much is known about Archer's canonical accomplishments as a Starfleet admiral. However, Archer's list of impressive Starfleet commendations includes a Medal of Valor with clusters, a Star Cross, the Praetoria's Ribbon of Commendation, and the Federation Citation of Honor. Admiral Archer retired from Starfleet with the rank of Chief of Staff, Starfleet Command. Jonathan Archer may be one of the most underrated captains in the Star Trek pantheon, but his legacy echoes through Federation history like warp signatures across subspace. While Star Trek Enterprise gave us a glimpse of Archer's pioneering voyages aboard the NX-1, the show ended before his full impact could be seen. Starfleet logs, many still classified, tell of extraordinary feats that never made it to screen. Here's a look at 6 amazing things Captain Archer did that Enterprise didn't show. 1. Brokered peace between the Nausicaaans and the Rigelians. While Archer was no stranger to diplomacy, one of his greatest triumphs occurred during his ambassadorship in the post-Enterprise years. Following years of piracy and skirmishes, the Nausicaaans and Rigelians were on the brink of interstellar war. Archer, now considered a statesman, was called upon to mediate. Over the course of 8 grueling weeks aboard a neutral Vulcan starbase, Archer employed every tactic, from logic to emotional appeals, drawing on his experiences with Andorians and Tellarites. In the end, he brokered a lasting treaty that allowed Nausicaaans to serve as security in Rygalian freighter routes, benefiting both economies and proving that even the most combative species can find common ground. 2. Saved Earth from a second temporal incursion. The temporal Cold War may have ended, but its remnants remained active in the shadows. Years after the NX-1 was decommissioned, a rogue agent from the 29th century traveled back to instigate a timeline where Earth never joined the Federation. Archer, despite having retired, was contacted by Daniels one final time. With no ship, no crew, and no Starfleet authority, Archer ventured into the past again, stopping the incursion in 2157 by sabotaging the rogue's temporal device at the cost of almost being stranded in an alternate reality. His actions went unrecognized publicly, but within the temporal archives, he's credited as the chrono-savior of the Federation. 3. Founded the Federation Astronautical Institute. After decades in space, Archer saw the need for something more than Starfleet, a civilian organization to inspire and educate future explorers not bound by military hierarchy. Thus, he helped establish the Federation Astronautical Institute (FAI), an academic institution that combined the philosophies of Earth, Vulcan, Andoria, and Teller. He personally taught the inaugural class, giving lectures on first contact protocol, pre-warp ethics, and interspecies diplomacy. The FAI would go on to produce scientists, explorers, and diplomats who influenced the galaxy for generations. One of its alumni, a young xenolinguist named Hoshi Takaru, granddaughter of Hoshi Sato. 4. Rescued a pre-warp civilization using only his wits. In one of his last solo missions, Archer crash-landed on a Class M planet while en route to a diplomatic conference. The native inhabitants, a Bronze Age civilization, mistook him for a sky spirit due to his advanced technology. Instead of exploiting the situation or risking contamination, Archer cleverly disguised his presence by posing as a traveling herbalist. He used his knowledge of science to cure a plague that had devastated their crops without ever revealing his true origin. When he was rescued 3 weeks later, he insisted on deleting all references to the incident from official records, adhering to what would eventually be formalized as the Prime Directive. 5. Mentored a young captain, named James T. Kirk. It's a little-known fact that Captain Jonathan Archer once met a teenage James T. Kirk during a Starfleet outreach program in Riverside, Iowa. Kirk, brash even as a cadet hopeful, challenged Archer on everything from command ethics to warp field mechanics. Rather than brushing him off, Archer saw potential in the defiant young man. He pulled him aside and said, "You don't have to follow the rules, Jim, but you'd better understand why they exist before you break them." Kirk would later cite this meeting as pivotal in his decision to join Starfleet. Though their paths never crossed again, Kirk kept a photo of Archer in his quarters aboard the Enterprise A, a quiet tribute to the man who lit the first torch in the Federation's long journey. 6. Turned down the presidency of the Federation. Yes, he was offered the presidency. After years of service, Captain, now Admiral Archer, was the natural candidate to become the first president of the United Federation of Planets. Loved by Tellarites, trusted by Vulcans, and respected by Andorians, he was the unifying figure the young coalition needed. But Archer declined. He believed that the Federation needed